Okay, it's Saturday, March 5th. I decided to come back out on the balcony and just go unscripted. I was trying the scripts and stuff, but the data tells me you guys like these just more free flow videos better. So, yeah, it's Saturday, and let's see what are the major developments. I personally have just come to a revelation, and I think probably this is in the news too, that there's really two fronts now in Ukraine. There's an eastern front, that's going for Kiev and the eastern Ukraine, Kiev, Kharkiv, and these eastern cities, Mariupol. And then there's Mariupol is more in the south, I guess. But then there's a southern front that's going for Odessa, going for the ports. And my impression is like the Eastern Front is the less experienced soldiers, the conscripts, and this is where you're seeing those mass surrenders, and they're running out of food, running out of gas, and just abandoning their equipment and refusing to fight often. I mean, we're hearing all kinds of stories. And then you have this Southern Front that's going for Odessa. The land amphibious invasion, as far as I know, hasn't happened, and but Odessa is a pretty big prize, so I imagine they would be using their more serious soldiers that would be coming out of Crimea. So there's like a garrison that was in Crimea, and that's the one that took Kherson, the city of Kherson, and we're not hearing so much about the desertions and everything from those Russian units. So I'm a little worried, to be honest with you, because after what happened in Zaporozhye, taking the nuclear power plant, and then now they're going to blackmail the world with that. And then if they take Odessa and cut Ukraine from the sea, it's just going to be economic devastation. So it's, I'm optimistic in the sense that eventually this war will be won. Just the force of right and all these natural forces of having Europe on your side, the world on your side, except for North Korea and Eritrea. Even the Taliban is on Ukraine's side. So all but 4 countries sided with Ukraine and the UN. This momentum and all the aid flowing in here, donations like aircraft, they're donating aircraft and next generation light anti-tank weapons, otherwise known as NLAWs, and these javelins are just ruining their day. It's just giving the Russians a very bad day. So there's like a mixed optimism, pessimism. I'm a bit I think Ukraine will respond to the southern threat. What you have to understand about the Russians, their purpose isn't good, so they can't hold anything. Once they get it, they can't hold it. There'll just be a reprisal, resistance, counteroffensive, but this is going to drag out for a long time unless America and NATO get involved. And I saw some pretty good news yesterday in one of the feeds. I think it was even in mainstream news, so I'm trusting it. Now, for once, I trust mainstream media because they do journalism and vet everything now. It's such a sensitive situation. That 74% of Americans want the no-fly zone, so that's a good sign. And I would hope that they do that soon. We can't have the Russians taking over nuclear power plants and then blackmailing the world. That's like 6 Chernobyls in Zaporozhye. Nobody can run away from that. If that dust cloud goes everywhere, that's everybody in Europe, everybody in Russia, everybody going to get sick from that if they blow that place up. It won't be like a nuclear mushroom cloud, but it'll be a lot of fallout and radioactivity in the air, and it'll just screw us up for the rest of eternity. It'll contaminate the soil, get into the food chain. There'll be radioisotopes in the water supply. It's just stupid. I'm surprised that the Americans didn't secure these sites, and put NATO forces or something, make that a NATO prerogative when the times were less hostile. That this was a critical need, and that could have been declared like some UN territory or something, that nobody can touch this. And they should have taken control of those reactors. This is really next level sickness. And there is a lot of the French president talked to Putin, and it sounds like he lost his shit. It's like the way the French president, after the conversation, said it didn't go well. The guy really, he's really lost it. I wasn't expecting that. I was actually watching a biography on Putin. He didn't grow up like Hitler or Saddam or anything. He actually went through a very structured system. His parents were upper middle class people, member of the party, married parents, and he went to school, studied judo. He was fairly sociable, lived in Germany, East Germany or whatever. He was an agent. I mean, yeah, he was KGB and bad guy. But I thought a guy like this would at least have some sense of rationality and play chess on a 3D level, instead of acting like Saddam Hussein, or, I mean, this is just crazy. I mean, he's acting like Idi Amin or, just one of these crazy dictators, like low-grade dictators. So I hope, I don't know, everything is so unpredictable now, but I mean, if he's sitting in a bunker in the Ural Mountains and lost his shit, this is a problem that nobody can hide from. But on the same time, I think the U.S. and NATO is safe to invade Transnistria, the province between Moldova and Ukraine. That's a safe house for the Soviet Union or Russians. I guess the Russians. It's a pro-Russian enclave, but that's going to be critical in the Russian plan to take over Odessa. So if they can knock that out, and I think they'd be safe to do it. They could even deny it. They could just say some gypsies from Moldova did it. They could just do something like that. They, they can take the markings off the planes. I mean, it's that enclave is like the width of it's about as wide as like a city like Chicago. I mean, you can fly over it in like less than 10 minutes. I don't even think it takes that long for a jet to fly over it. But it's like it's on the western side of Odessa, and then you have you have a possible amphibious invasion from the sea. Well, it's not possible. It looks like they want to do the amphibious invasion from the sea, and then they have garrisons from the Crimea, the more experienced ones. And I think these are the professional soldiers that they're entering. This is where they're using their professional soldiers. I was telling a neighbor today that Odessa is actually probably in many ways more important than Kiev because it is a port city. It gives Ukraine access to the world, so that has to be defended even more vigorously than Kiev in many ways. I mean, that's just my opinion. That's just my assessment that, if NATO is going to get involved and do things under the radar, that's the best place to do it because it is also closer to Western Europe as well. And then they can take some pressure off of the Ukrainians, and they can focus on retaking Kiev in the east, with our air cover. But it is time to get boots on the ground. This is, like I said in the video yesterday, we have 30% of the world's grain supply at stake, and Russia can use that as a bargaining chip to get other countries to do his bidding, especially the poorer countries. And he can line them up, and that can create a lot of problems for us. Now, yesterday I made a mistake in the video. I said that Ukrainians were looting the grocery stores. That was wrong. I just was, half asleep when I was talking or something. It was the Russian soldiers were looting the supermarkets. Apparently, like I said yesterday, they were expecting to sack Kiev in 3 days, and they were only supplied that much, and now they're stuck out on the road. So we have this convoy, and it's pretty much frozen in place. I don't know if they ran out of gas, ran out of food, or both, but they're probably starving and freezing out there. But I saw a news report, opinion today, that they're not firing, the Ukrainians are not firing on them either. And the convoy is just stuck, so I imagine they're giving them an opportunity to surrender peacefully. And the Russians who are surrendering peacefully, are being treated very well. They're allowed to call their parents, and I think they're, I don't know if they're being held as prisoners or something, but they're, the videos, I don't know what they do with them, but on the videos it looks like they're being treated with a lot of compassion. They don't know where they are, they're lost. They were, confused about this mission. And when they realize the truth, they're really sorry about it. So if they could get a mass surrender I think that is a good strategy to get a mass surrender out of that convoy, and then those guys would all call their parents, and then their parents would spread the word. I know I have a friend right now who's in Russia. Uh, I'm not going to say where or what he's doing there, or even where he's from, but he sent me some messages on a privacy app, and he said if you talk about this Ukraine thing in a truthful way, you can go to jail for 15 years. But there are whispers. The kids at school know how to get around the internet blocks, and people are whispering at school, and people are. But the old people believe that the German Nazis are coming for Stalingrad. You know, they still. They're in the clouds. The information is not always getting through to the right people. Whether, I mean, I guess old people vote or something, or they could call Putin's mom or something like that and tell him knock it off. I don't know, but he is saying not to count on a big Russian uprising. He said most people are scared, and he said a lot of people are still drinking the Kool-Aid over there. So, I think, yeah, I'd hate to say it. I think we're gonna have to grind this out for a while. Only way is if we can get, American soldiers, boots on the ground, German soldiers, get them back in the game. Get French back in the game, French Foreign Legion here, and get them on the ground here. And like I said, they can work on the southern defense. They can come through Moldova, and come through here in Lviv even. Hell, they can hang out here if they want. I think they'd be most welcome. We can even, if they want to parachute in here on this open field, go for it. I earned my parachute wings when I was in the Navy. That's not feasible with a static line chute to land here. To drop a 82nd Airborne, you gotta drop on an open field, which there's plenty of here in Ukraine, so you don't get skewered. I've been caught up in a tree before too, so that kind of sucked. Having to cut myself down from the tree and land on the ground with all this gear on you. And then the Army Rangers were coming looking for me with 2 dogs. And I got actually, when I cut myself down from the tree, I got stuck standing up in these bushes and these thickets. So I was like, and all my gear was like all, I couldn't move very well. And yeah, that was a story. That's another story for another time. Getting so winds can blow you off course and everything. And yeah, another time I landed on a pile of cow crap. We were jumping over some field in Florida, and the pathfinders, the guys who lay out the jump zone, forgot to tell us about all the cow crap. So half of the people came back with cow shit all over them. Because you land, when you land on a static line chute, you do your feet, knees, and back. You kind of hit 2 feet together, then you land on your knees. That's a parachute landing fall, if any of you jumped before. And so your back kind of goes to the ground last, and then you kind of roll and dispense the energy. So in that process, yeah. So hopefully when they come, they clean up the fields here first, to make for a good welcome wagon. But yeah, so there's mixed optimism. I mean, like I said, there's when you read all these feeds, they're only talking about the Ukrainian wins, but I imagine there's a lot of tragedy on the Ukrainian side and things like that too that we're not seeing. So I just worry about this false optimism, sometimes, because there is something to be hopeful for. Right is might, and right is on the side of the Ukrainian army for sure. And the world is paying attention to this because the implications are absolutely huge, much bigger than, because it is attached to Europe. It is between Turkey and Europe and Russia and stuff. This is a sphere of influence thing, and this is, Ukraine is the largest country in the European continent. If you only count, I mean, you could say Russia, but Russia is more Central Asia. They only have part of their country in Europe, but it's just the implications are massive. And I think I've been ranting about that on other videos before, but Yeah, yeah. So really, the point is now that we need the no-fly zone here. We need even boots on the ground, and we need to probably invade this Transnistria country, and that would be very from a that shouldn't be very difficult to do. You know, they're a landlocked country pretty much, and they got Moldova all around them and Ukraine on the other side of them, and cut them off from supplying the Russians from the west. You know, any invasion, you know, they gotta dash those hopes. They got to do an information war, you know, get out to those Russian soldiers and mid-level commanders, you know, people at the lieutenant and up to major level, and give them a lot of incentive to surrender their units if they can reach them on radio or broadcast to them and offer them some way to surrender their units, you know, pay them off. That could work. That could rattle the cages all through the ranks. But they've really got to reach the middle managers in the Russian society, all the people who are actually pushing the buttons and doing this, the people who are doing the censorship. You know, there's actually like workers who have to do this. You know, the Putin can say something, but it doesn't get done unless a middle manager, you know, authorizes it, you know, or, you know, tells a worker to do it. So they have to reach this like management layer. And that should be fairly easy to do, I think. Those people are on social media. They're not as restricted as like the high level people. I mean, they're in the Russian social medias or something, or they should, you know, they go to the supermarket every day. I don't know. They use mobile phones. I mean, they're just like, you know, a house, two cars, and a dog kind of people. I mean, you should be able to reach them, you know, and you know, win the information war from that level. You know, getting into those middle layers. That's where all the sabotage could be done. That's where all the changing sides and tips and leaks and all of this can be done. So those are the people we got to reach, you know, or these mid-level field commanders, a guy in charge of like a, you know, brigade of tanks, or well, that's a brigadier general, but a guy in charge of a company of tanks, you know, maybe 10, 15 tanks or something, and get those levels and get those people to flip, and they're all talking to each other too. They transmit information to each other, you know, and if they can, if you can break up that cohesion, maybe that'll bring this to an end and even get a withdrawal, because then the Russians will know that they can't hold this territory, that everyone's going to be out for them, you know. And once that word gets out that you're on a hostile territory, you're not being welcomed here like in Normandy. Oh, hell no. This is quite the opposite, you know. You know, you're going right into a hornet's nest. You know, who the hell wants to occupy a hornet's nest? I mean, that would suck, you know. But anyway, have a nice day. I got a lot to do today. You know, I'm going to try to be as productive as I can, you know, so take care and have a good day.